大家好，今天的话呢，要来讲这个anabolic primer 的一个内容。那我们这个应该是讲到了第四讲左右。那这个是一个合成型的健身的类固醇。那合成代谢型类固醇，那是主要是用于这个运动使用，恢复体力跟提升运动的一个表现。那对于这一篇文章来进行研读，那就是 MuscleMag里面的一些专栏所收集起来、所汇集起来的一篇文章。First synthesis. After the isolation of testosterone crystal in the 1930s, scientists began to work on developing derivatives that will maximize the anabolic growth promoting effects and minimize the androgenic masculinizing effects. Since complete disassociation of anabolic to androgenic effects is not possible. Most of the available anabolic steroids act in the same manner as testosterone. The Robert Kennedy, MuscleMag International creator and a best-selling author, commenting on the misconception that the great bodybuilding champions of the past were all natural. That there is an almost universal belief that the champions of the past were natural. Hardly a week goes by that someone does not remind me how the past Mr. America and the Mr. Universe winners did naturally. Not so nearly all the famous old-timer 95% were on gear. Anabolic steroids like that has testosterone relatives and molecules that contain 19 carbon atom arranged geometrically in the following manner. 有这样的一个架构。The above molecule consists of 3 6-sided rings joined to one 5-sided ring, even though they are not written in. At each corner, there is one carbon atom. In some respects, scientists are like secretaries in that they prefer to use shorthand to make things simpler. For classification purposes, each carbon is numbered from 1 to 19. This whole structure represented one molecule of the particular drug and is called a steroid molecule. Although other side groups attachment of atom to one or more of the carbon atom may be present. All of the popularly used anabolic steroid contains this basic steroid molecule or nucleus. Like most steroid hormones, testosterone is poorly absorbed by the gastrointestinal tract, and anything which does reach the bloodstream is quickly deactivated by the liver to increase the effectiveness of anabolic steroids. For therapeutic purposes, scientists have added a side group to the carbon 17 position called an alkyl group. These forms of steroids are least susceptible to degradation by the liver. Other derivatives cause 19 no testosterones are among the most effective anabolic steroid known. They have great anabolic properties and small androgenic properties. 好，我们就继续念。 A lot of women today are even using them. There's no excuse for women to use them. Any way you slice it, steroids are male hormones in my book. A woman using anabolic steroid is like a man taking estrogen. I know I'm a little outspoken about this, but it's really the way I feel. Lee Lambrada, multi-title winner of offering his view on steroid use by female bodybuilders. Biosynthesis. Give the honest stories calculating about the evils of cholesterol. It may surprise many readers that its molecule is a primary precursor for testosterone and most of its synthetic derivatives. Without going into too much detail, cholesterol is converted into the precursor pregnenolone, which in turn is converted to three additional intermediate molecules and eventually to testosterone. The entire process takes place in the male testes, with the average daily secretion being about 1.5 to 10 milligrams. Pathway for testosterone synthesis. cholesterol pregnenolone 这个是 70 hydroxypregnenolone dehydroepiandrosterone androstenediol testosterone 那这里呢有一张过去的一个健美的照片这个是 Shane Ray Gunton Slicker Cap Porter Control and Flex Welder 就是这一张。好，那我们继续阅读。Degradation and assimilation. Once produced, testosterone follows a number of primary pathways. It may be absorbed by testosterone-dependent tissues like the prostate and the seminal vesicles. It may act upon testosterone-sensitive tissue like the kidney and the skeletal muscles. It may be immediately metabolized by the liver and excreted, or it may become bound to plasma proteins such as albumin and sex hormone binding globulin (SHBG). No matter what the metabolic pathway, testosterone has a half-life, the amount of the time necessary for one half the original substances to degrade, of 110 to 20 minutes. This short lifespan means natural testosterone is of limited therapeutic use. 那旁边有个附注 I go off for a long period of time and stay off as long as I can. I know guys who spend 这个是$40, $100 to $50 to getting ready for the Arnold Classic. I stay off as long as possible, and then I under the supervision of a very good doctor. I'm very cautious. It's not just bodybuilders. I know plenty of baseball and tennis players who are on drug too. Mike Matarazzo, top IFBB pro, commenting on steroid at a seminar he gave in Toronto, Canada. Mechanism of action. Like most chemicals, testosterone and its anabolic derivatives produce their effects at the cellular level. The sites at which drugs combine with cells are termed drug receptors. Each drug is specific for a given receptor. Molecular biologists term this uniqueness of affinity the log and the key hypothesis. Just as, just as a log is shaped to receive one distinct key, so too are cell receptors designed to receive only one geometrically shaped molecule. Once the drug binds to its specific receptor, we have what is called a drug receptor complex. This complex initiates a series of chemical reactions, much of which is still not fully understood, the ultimate result of which is called a biological response. Research, Research indicates that most antibody steroid receptors are found in the nucleus of the cell. Upon activation, the drug receptor complex increases the cell's level of RNA and the protein synthesis. There is also evidence to suggest that steroids increase the growth rate of steroid-sensitive cells. The response to a given drug may vary considerably among individuals. For example, two individuals using the same anabolic steroid in the same dosage may experience vastly different results. One may gain 20 pounds of muscular body weight over a 4-week period, while the other may notice no effects. In all probability, the second individual have less receptors for their particular drug. By which drug, the effects may change dramatically. Routes of administration. There are two primary methods of introducing steroid into the human body: oral injection. Oral steroids come in tablet or pill form and are taken in the same manner as other medications. Physicians and athletes both agree that oral steroids are more taxing on the liver than other forms of steroids because they have been modified to slow their breakdown and increase their lifespan. Oral steroids are more likely to become concentrated in the liver. Since an oral steroid must pass through the digestive tract, most of it will be deactivated before it enters the bloodstream. As a path through the liver will activate even more. This means that oral steroids need to be taken in higher doses to get the same effects as injectables. Most athletes report more minor side effects when using oral steroid than other forms. These side effects include nausea, headache, and bloated feeling. 那这旁边有一段这个附录You are quite right that at your age, your testosterone level are probably lower than a snake heirs. By going under gear, you will only be adding to what you are already starting to miss. And with the right one, I will certainly not worry about side effects. I would suggest a good cypionate and or deca, one shot a week of each, no problem. But you have to get it legally through a doctor's prescription to add your surging libido. Make heart colorful. Mark Mason columnist commenting on one of the primary reasons why anabolic steroids were first synthesized to supplement lower testosterone level。那这里有一段图片旁边的文字。So harder to age, the glutes are a favorite injection site because they offer the advantage of fewer nerve endings, which means less pain. Injectable steroids are introduced the body by way of a long hypodermic needle. Although it sounds more dangerous, injectable steroids are safer than oral, as the drug is injected intramuscular into a muscle and not intravenous into a vein. Most athletes prefer the size of the glutes. The thighs offer the advantage of being easy to reach to provide a large area to work with. The glutes are harder to reach but offer the advantage of having few nerve endings. This means less pain when injecting. Most individuals who choose this side of the administration have a friend inject for them. Risk of using injectable steroids. It would be irresponsible for us to avoid discussing some of the dangers of injectables, most of which are the result of poor technique and not the drugs themselves. Anytime you break the body's outer skin layer, you are making the body more vulnerable to invasion by pathogen germ. The skin is the body's first line of defense against invaders and works most efficiently when intact. A tear of break in the skin provides a route inside for such germs. Pushing a dirty needle into the body is asked for trouble. Needles are relatively cheap to buy and can be found in at most drugstores. After using a needle, call a syringe. Throw it always and use a new one next time. As for sharing needles, under no circumstances should individual share needles. You may think you know your friends, but down the road when you are diagnosed with AIDS or hepatitis, you will regret ever having participated in needle sharing. Closely related to the previous is the issues of particle poisoning. This is a reaction to a particle of fiber, such as cotton or other foreign substances that gets injected into the bloodstream along with the drug. Within 2 or 4 hours, the individual may be suffering from muscle cramps, chills, cold sweats, and nausea. If lucky, these symptoms disappear after 2 to 3 hours. In a few cases, however, the reaction progresses to seizures, shock, and possibly coma. 那这里的话有这个一段话 ：There are two basic types of injectable steroids, oil-based and water-based. 那这是 Gerard, former Muscle Magazine editor, commenting on the pharmacological aspect of the competitive bodybuilding. Most top bodybuilders take at least 3 steroids along with human growth hormone and other contents pre-drug when getting ready for a show. This may mean a diuretic to lose water, a steroid drug to speed up fat burning, and L-dopa to work with HGH. Another concern is the risk of puncturing a major blood vessel, particularly a vein or artery. If you inject into your thighs and accidentally strike a large femoral artery, the large pressurized blood vessel, which provides blood to the whole leg region. You will probably bleed to death within a matter of minutes. At the slightest indication of blood vessel damage, apply pressure, elevate the limb, and most of all, seek medical attention. It's far better to be embarrassed than dead. Beside blood vessel, the blood has a system of nerves and interact with muscles to produce movement. If you hit one of these with a needle, at the least you will experience intense pain, but more importantly, may suffer permanent nerve damage. Not only will your 28-inch thigh de- degenerate, but you may actually paralyze your leg. If you decide to use injectable anabolic steroid, first receive prior instruction from a medical professional such as doctor or nurse. Probably injecting a needle into the body is an acquired skill that should only be attempted after much practice. 这是我们读到了这里读到这里那感谢各位收看好吧，这里的话还有旁边有这个6个关键字，first synthesis 叫做破解函数 ，testosterone 叫做 testosterone，the gastrointestinal tract 叫胃杂管，hypodermic needle 叫皮下注射 ，blood vessels 就是血液管 ，steroid deliver steroid 涂药，好，感谢各位收看。